To present this award to Lori, I'd certainly like to invite right now Kathy Angstman from Wells Fargo to join us on stage.
Before we present this beautiful award to Lori, I would like to describe it to you. Athena was a deity of resolute courage and wisdom, guided and enlightened by reason. Viewed from every angle, this sculpture expresses vision and strength, courage and joy, the entire spectrum of qualities and values which its recipients demonstrate. The marble base represents the solid foundation upon which all success and self-fulfillment must be built. The unique textures of the bronze differ on each sculpture, just as the life experiences of the recipients differ. When viewed from various angles, the form's outstretched arms can be seen to express the celebration of achievement and the reaching out to others. The cut crystal is the focal point. It symbolizes the many facets of human character and the light which emanates from the recipient. On behalf of Wells Fargo, I am delighted to personally congratulate Lori, who truly exemplifies this magnificent award. It is Wells Fargo's pleasure once again to sponsor the ATHENA Award, presented annually at the Salt Lake Chamber, and reaffirm our company's long-standing commitment to women. Congratulations, Lori.
It is not often that we men have opportunity to be in the company of such wonderful people as I'm in the company of today. On behalf of the Salt Lake Chamber, it is my honor, and I must say I am proud to have this privilege of presenting to Lori Chillingworth this lovely award. I've had the opportunity of serving with her, she as chair of the Salt Lake Chamber, and I as vice chair, and I have come to admire her and enjoy the privilege of working under her leadership. Lori, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Wow. You get major butterflies up here after something like that. And Pat, you were right. You said that the intensity of the moment won't hit you until you actually get there and stand in front of friends and family and people that you've worked with for so many years home. I'm overwhelmed. There really are no words to describe how I feel standing before you today. I was talking to my husband and son last night, and as I was putting my notes together, I was going to say 24 years ago as a single young woman, and I realized, no, it wasn't 24 years ago, it was 34 years ago. I never thought this was going to be possible. I was a single mother with a 2-year-old working as a teller at a small bank, drive-up teller. That was my very first job, and the reason I wanted to work in banking is because I wanted to be professional. I wanted to wear nice clothes, and I wanted to be working with professional people, and I thought that that was the perfect spot for me to be working as a teller in a small bank. I sincerely want to thank Pat and Linda and Scott for your kind words on the video. They meant so much to me. And I want to say congratulations to all the Pathfinders. I consider you my friends, great friends and colleagues, and it's just a pleasure to know you, and congratulations to you on your award as well. And the women previously receiving this award, wow, to be able to again, you're my friends. They're people that I've worked with for my entire career, and I just feel so honored to be part of your group and be recognized in this way. As you've heard, my involvement with WLI is one of the reasons that I feel so passionate with my heart and soul on the reason we need to mentor and sponsor women in our community. One thing that wasn't mentioned in the video about WLI is there are 3 things that we want to make sure that we accomplish, and that's get more women in politics so that we have an equal voice on the Hill on the things that matter the most to women and families. The second is to get more women in the C-suite, because it's proven that organizations that have women in the C-suite and leadership positions are more profitable because of the diverse opinions around the table. And then also to get more women on boards. Again, if you have more women on your board, you will be more profitable. You will surround yourself and get a diverse group of people that will help you move your company forward. So those are the 3 things that we really want to accomplish in WLI. And again, I want to share with you a little bit why I feel so passionate about that. As I mentioned earlier, I was single for 8 years. It was a very interesting time in our lives. I felt lucky enough to have enough money to make it paycheck to paycheck and provide for my son as much as I could. And in fact, Jeremy, sometimes we talk. Jeremy's my son. He's here with me today from Washington, D.C. It means so much that you're here today. But you have to admit, I'm surprised either one of us like macaroni and cheese because we had it every single night. But it's still one of my favorites. I don't know why. But one day when I came home from work, Jeremy was sitting in the front room and he was eating dry oatmeal. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, Mom, I was hungry after school." He was a latchkey kid at 7 years old, because after having him in preschool for 5 years, I thought, wow, I'm going to get a huge bonus when I take him out of preschool. And so I probably had him as a latchkey kid a little bit too soon. But at 7 years old, I come home and he's eating dry oatmeal. And he said, "Well, Mom, I was hungry and I couldn't find anything else to eat." And that's when I realized I've got to do something, because providing just enough for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, not having the affordability to get those snacks that he probably needed in between, and that he had to eat dry oatmeal, was really something that made me realize that if I'm going to work 40 hours or more a week, I really need to make some more money, because I need to provide for my son. So as a single mom, I was not afforded the luxury of having a traditional education. And I started a job at Commercial Security Bank, which is now Key Bank, and Richard Nelson is also here joining me today. I invited him to come because he was one of the first people that believed in me. And one of the things that he said to me was, "Lori, I can see you have the fire in your belly, and we're going to do something about that. And everybody needs a cheerleader, and I'm here to be yours." And I will never forget those words, Richard. Thank you so much for being the first person to really believe in me the way that I believed in me and the things that I could do. So one of the things that he did for me was, okay, if you're going to make more money, you need to get some education. So we sat down and we looked through all of the different courses and classes that American Institute of Banking provided for bankers. And I remember him getting out the curriculum book and saying, and just basically going through and circling every class that I needed to take if I was going to be successful in banking. I took that, And I signed up for my first class, and while it was hard, because I felt like I'm working full-time, I don't have, I have Jeremy most of the time, but I don't have him on every weekend, so, but do I want to go to school at night and still take that time away from spending time with my son? But as I look back on it, that was the only way to do it, to show both of us that we could continue to progress and move forward and create a better life for the two of us. It was several years later that I remember walking in with that same curriculum, because I carried it around with me, and after every single class I would check off a course. And I walked into Richard's office and I handed it to him and I said, "Okay, I'm done." And I don't know whether you'll admit this or not, Richard, but I felt like you were looking at me like, I can't believe you really did this. Because I actually couldn't believe I did it either. It took a while and it was a lot of hard work. But the thing about it is after I did that, he kept his promise to me that he would help support me and push me along through the bank, because I had done the things that he had asked me to do to get my education. And then in 1997, I was privileged enough to be approached by Diana Kirk and Scott Anderson to start the Women's Financial Group at Zions Bank. And wow, what a ride that was. I'll never forget the first few weeks of that being at Zions Bank, and we had focus groups. And Pat, you'll remember this well, because Pat was a facilitator at Dan Jones and Associates. And that's where we had these focus groups. And I was so excited to hear about what all of these women were going to say about this women's financial group that we were going to open at Zions Bank. And so when we first got there, I was just right up against, I don't know how many of you have been in focus groups, but you can see the participants, but they can't see you. And so I was really excited, and I had my nose right up against the window waiting to hear what everyone was going to say. And as the night went on, the negative comments about Zions Bank, and that they wouldn't lend to women, that they were more concerned about lending to rich, white, male men than and that they didn't care about women in this bank. By the end of the night, there was a couch clear in the very corner of that room, and I was slouched in that couch, thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? I've left Key Bank that was a really good job, and I've come to an organization to hear this about the perception of what our bank is. But it makes you fight. It gives you a vision. It gives you the ambition to go to make a difference in what you've heard. And so that's exactly what we did. We continued on with the Women's Financial Group. And I'll never forget the day, probably 5 years later, we were at a lunch event, and Scott was there. I was standing there, and Scott and I were just chatting. And a woman came up to Scott, and I really actually didn't know her that well. I knew her, but I didn't know her that well. I couldn't have paid her enough for what she said next. She said, "Scott, I want you to know that I bank at Zions Bank." And Scott said, "Why, thank you. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your business." And she said, "But I want you to know why I bank at Zions Bank. I bank at Zions Bank because you're the woman's bank." I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. We're there. We're making it. We're making progress. Women believe and want to come work at or bank at Zions Bank because we've changed the perception of Zions Bank. And we seriously did change the perception of Zions Bank, and we still continue to do that every day by reaching out to women and minorities, and we really are making a difference in the community and reaching out and making sure that we are reaching out and giving the services needed in banking to all of people in this community. And we want it to be diverse. You look at our workforce, it's very diverse. And so it's changed quite a bit over the last 20 years, and I'm very proud to be part of that. I didn't know that I would ever say that at that very first day, but I'm proud. After the Women's Financial Group, I started working in the small business division and for Zions First National Bank. And there again, I just had so many more learning opportunities. The thing that I have to say is, if you have opportunities for education, take them. Take them every single chance you can. Don't ever stop learning, because that's what makes you grow. That's what makes you feel fulfilled. And if you say no to those types of opportunities, then you're really missing a great experience, and you're missing a way to really develop in your career. So while Diana and Scott were also great mentors for me and sponsors for me, there were several others at the bank. But I want to make sure that everybody in this room has been a mentor to me. I look out over this audience, and you may not know it or not, but you've been a mentor to me. And that's really what makes a difference, because you don't have to have official mentors. They're just people in your life that you run across and say, I want to be like that. I want to learn that from this person. I want to pay attention to what they're saying so that I can take that into my own personal life and be a better person. So to all my unofficial mentors in this room, thank you for what you've done for me. And then I want to thank the Salt Lake Chamber. I've been involved in the Salt Lake Chamber since the early 1990s, and my very first opportunity with the Chamber was with the Women's Business Center. And I was telling that to I have a niece at the table, and I said, yeah, I started working with the Chamber in the early 1990s, and she said, oh, well, that was before I was born. So it made me realize, wow, that's been a long time. But most recently, being able to serve as the chair of the board of directors and the board of governors, the executive board, was such a wonderful experience for me. I made so many friends and associates, and I just feel so blessed and honored to have so many people in my life that have made a difference. So what a wonderful experience, and thank you to Salt Lake Chamber for believing in me, and for the ATHENA Award as well. But it's just the whole experience at the Chamber. If you haven't been involved in the Chamber, get involved. It's something that you will never regret. So now, as I stand here 20 years later, 30 years later, 40, 34 years later, from that bright-eyed girl with big dreams, and to become a professional woman here among some of the most amazing women in this community. My son Jeremy, as I mentioned, is here with me, and I want to tell you what an amazing human being I think you are. And I'm so proud of you. And to my husband, Jeff, he's always loved and supported me when I'm not home very often. When you have 2 or 3 different obligations that you're doing at once, plus a full-time job, the understanding of knowing that that's what you want to do, and that's what you need to do, and that's what makes you feel fulfilled, and understanding that. So thank you. So to each of the young women in the audience today, as I said in the video, now that you know my background, if I can do it, every single woman can do it. Everyone can do it. You just have to have the courage, the ambition, and the vision to know what you want to be. And I challenge you to believe in yourself so that you can take yourself to the next level. I also want to challenge everyone here to go out and think about somebody in their organization, in any of their networks, in all the roads that you travel, and find somebody that you see that fire in their belly, that you know they're going to be successful, and tap them on the shoulder and tell them you want to be the one to help them. I challenge every single one of you in this room to go out and do that. And if we do that, this community is going to be so amazing in the next few years as we reach our goals and accomplishment on having a diverse political environment, a diverse board of directors in every organization, and a diverse C-suite. It's the right thing to do, it's the right thing for your company, and it's the right thing for your community. Thank you so much for this honor. I seriously I can't express how it feels. And I told Lisa earlier, this is kind of like a little coveted jewel. And I'm so appreciative, and I'm so appreciative of the people that nominated me. And let's go out there. Let's go out there, each and every one of us, and make a difference. Thank you very much.